Hi there, how are you doing? So welcome to this special pre-recorded yoga class. And it's really a stitching together of highlights from what's been an extraordinary year for all of us. But the one constant has been that you've rolled out your mat and you've practiced. So really well done for that. And the next 60 minutes are going to be pretty much the same. Roll out your yoga mat and enjoy some of the highlights. You're going to be working up into pigeon pose. Quite a deep back bend, so take it nice and easy as you always do. And I wanted to give you a very quick tour of the yoga room. So you'll maybe notice that there's this little contraption, big contraption behind me. That's Ross's drum kit. Thankfully he doesn't play when I am here teaching. And over here is a desk because there's a fair bit of admin comes with running classes, the bane of my life. So that's where I administer everything from, so to speak. And this of course is the yoga mat that I teach from. And you'll have heard me twittering on about the birds. Let's see what's going on with the birds. There's the bird feeder and James's bike ramp. And lots of blue sky today as well. Can you see that blue sky? So, roll out your mat and enjoy the next hour of yoga. Thank you. It's now been over a week since we've had to cancel yoga classes, and the world has changed in that time, and we're currently dealing with, well, I don't need to tell you what we're dealing with, but we're either self-isolating at home or we're out in the front line having a really difficult time. But I wanted you to know that I'm really missing you all, and I'd like to get your feedback on where we go as a yoga community next. So anyway, the point is this. What would you like? What would you like from me? I'd love you to carry on practicing yoga. I think it's hugely beneficial at this time. And if you would find this beneficial, then we'll do it. Well, hi everyone. I have got no idea whether we're live or not, but it's just gone 8 o'clock and I'm assuming that it has. Welcome to this first live streamed yoga class on YouTube. So without further ado, let's do some yoga. I'm aiming to let this last about 40 minutes. So I'd like you to come into a quiet kneeling position, please. And if kneeling's not comfortable, you know my patter. You can come into a comfortable sitting pose of choice. Where were we? We were threading the needle, weren't we? Okay, slowly coming up. Okay, as I was saying there, it's first thing in the morning, we don't need to rush around, but we're conscious. We've left that lovely resting period, hopefully 6, 7, 8 hours of sleep, maybe more. And we're going to gently move into the body now. So I'd like you to stretch your arms ahead of you, clasping your fingers. And because if you haven't done any yoga for a while, and that's not meant to be a dig, by the way, but if you haven't done any yoga for a while, soften into your knees. And we're going to just create a little bit of movement. And I'm thinking about the yogic term vata, which means wind, because it's such a windy day. But we're anchored to the ground. Push into the heels if you want something a little more dynamic. Engage the tummy if you want to even lean back. And then allow a pivot and a change of direction. The wind has changed direction. Lovely. Okay, just gather up the back of the knees, bring the feet together, come back into cat pose again. And this time, I'd like us to work on our strength because we've been told by the government we have to exercise. So yoga is not just an exercise. I don't need you to listen to me reminding you of that. But we can gently work on our strength. Tuck your toes under and just push almost into the balls of the feet. So it's almost like you're really wakening up the soles of the feet. Now you might need to just bounce into one side and then transfer your weight down into the other. And the soles of the feet are coming alive. And then you're going to allow the knees to lift off the ground. Keep pushing into the heels, engage the tummy and try not to clench up into the shoulders. Try to let the engagement come from the tummy and for the shoulders to almost broaden and widen. You can even take a little dive into your elbows if you need to. Good, breathing. Gently lowering those knees. Inhaling, keep those toes tucked under if you want. And a little spin to one side and a spin to the other. Good. Okay, we're going to flatten our feet now, drop down, but we're going to take our right knee forward. So the right knee comes forward and let's come up so that you're placing your hands onto your forward leg. And I'm going to be really rude now and turn away from you, because I'm going to ask you to drop your right elbow down onto the knee, and then let's make these wonderful Vata windmills with your top arm. Is the shoulder bothering you this morning? If it is, take the fingertips to the shoulder and make little baby circles instead. I know that there's one or two of you out there who are recovering really well, really impressively from shoulder injuries and frozen shoulders. So be guided by instinct. Fold over that forward knee, tuck the back toe under and move into a very soft downward dog. So this is a really lazy, non-effortful dog. I'm not sure effortful's a proper word, but hopefully I'm conveying what I mean. I don't want any pressure and effort in here. Just use this as a kind of holding area to transition. You're going to lower both knees down, and this time you're taking your left foot forward. You're resting your left elbow down. I'll be able to face you now, which is a little bit more polite. Brushing the fingers on the ground. And if you want to have a quick look at the slightly easier version of this, it's fingertips to shoulders. Here we go. How are we doing for time? 20 past. We're at 20 minutes or so. When have I ever stuck to time? Okay. I'll shut up now. Just listen to the elements around you, the air quality in the room that you're practicing in, the atmosphere around your home. Lovely. I'm not sure if we've swapped directions. So swap directions in case I've got nobody to ask now, have I? Goodness. Right. Lovely. Back into a downward dog. Maybe make it less floppy this time. Maybe make it more of a familiar downward dog to you. Feel those big paws grounding, the knees softening, and your tailbone light and lifting. Allow the head to be heavy. Tell the neck that it doesn't need to become involved in this, or the muscles around the neck. Draw the tummy in. And feel a little bit of length developing from the back of the knees down to the heels. Now I don't mean push the heels down. I just want you to feel maybe a little bit of length growing in the lower parts of the legs. If you're ready to come out of your downward dog, please drop the knees and breathe in cat. You're able to sustain this dog for a little bit longer. Wonderful. That would be brilliant. Lovely. Lowering down the knees. Flattening into the feet. Let's come up to standing. Ross, have you got your drink? Yeah? Okay. I hope you've got a drink handy, because if you're watching this live, it's a really hot evening, it's lovely, but do hydrate yourself. Cheers. Okay. So, let's start, Ross, with cross-legged position. Remember, anyone can join in this class. You don't have to be an experienced yogi, you don't have to be a child. If you're practicing peacefully on your own, then you can still enjoy the poses quietly with less of the hijinks. So you're going to drift your arms up above your head, and we're going to clasp our hands, and we're going to draw a little halo above our heads by circling the arms, maybe circling into the hips. Because we're all little angels, aren't we, Ross? For all the little angels out there, and maybe you want to spin your halo in the other direction. Oh, crash. Now make sure you've got plenty of space this evening. Make sure the family heirlooms are out of the way. We don't want to crash into any of them. Good stuff, everyone. Allow your arms to drift down. Feel nice in the shoulders?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, let's glue your feet together now. And clasping over the toes, and you might want to bounce the knees. We call this the butterfly pose, and it warms up our hips nicely. Nice straight back, nice lifted head. Now we're going to zing things up a little bit. This is when we do high fives. So what you might want to do from butterflies, take your hands behind your hips, and you might want to roll onto, I'm rolling onto my right hip, Ross is rolling onto his left hip, high five each other if you're in company, and moving to the other side. So we're keeping the feet glued together or cross legs, and lifting the hips nice and high, and maybe we can get into a bit of a roll. One more, everyone. Yay, well done. Hopefully that's warmed up your hips nicely. So gather them in, gather in the knees, and do a little cosmic egg by crossing at the ankles and allowing the forehead to drop towards the knees. So you're doing a little bum balance. Really sweet. And then we're going to roll forward into cat pose. Now, so for our more senior members joining us this evening, you might want to do a gentle cat by breathing in, looking up. We call this happy cat. And then the angry cat involves lowering the head and drawing the tummy in. But for some of the children, they might want to zing this up a bit. So I'm going to face Ross. You're going to face me as well, Ross. And what we can do is we can allow ourselves, pad the knees to glide on a diagonal. So stretch out one arm and stretch out the opposite leg. Bring everything back in, and then bending at the elbows and lowering the forehead down, maybe touching the nose on the ground. Coming back up, stretching on the opposite diagonal now. So keeping the back toe on the ground if you need to, nice and stretched, and then hands together and bend, use your body weight and your lovely strength to lower you down and back up. Now we're going to change that slightly for those who want a little bit of a workout. And this time, as you bend into your elbows, you're going to raise one leg. So it's almost like a scorpion's tail moving up towards the ceiling, pointing into the toe, lowering down. Pushing back up. Remember, you're doing a regular breathing cat as a gentler alternative. Lifting up the opposite leg, bending into the elbows and gently lowering down. So it's not like we need to build up much heat tonight, is it? Are you feeling the heat? We'll go one more time, everyone. Nice high leg, dipping everything down, bending into the knee. You're shaking. Oh goodness, well we better make this the last one. Lovely, well done. Okay, come back onto butterfly pose, everyone. And this time I want you to hook onto your big toe. So watch this one. If you get any lower back issues, stick with the small butterfly. But if you think that you can work up into the giant butterfly, think about lifting your heels off the ground. I know there's a bit of a glare with the sun, but it should go away in a moment. And heels off the ground, we're in another bum balance. Now can anyone stretch out one leg? Keep the leg bent if you need to, stretching out one leg. Keep lifting with the chest. And can anyone stretch out the opposite leg? Well done, Ross. Can anyone stretch out both legs? This is the big question. Giant butterfly. Keep the knees bent. You don't have to straighten the legs. Well done, Ross. Well done, everyone. Slowly coming back down. Lovely. Okay, guys, we're going to come into downward dog now. So anyone who's just feeling a bit hot tonight, stick with cat. Maybe lie on your back and do some stretches from lying on your back. Let the air sort of move over the front of your body, around your limbs. It'll be a lot cooler than doing any of these novelty poses. But we're going to start by coming into a walking dog, Ross. Okay, so we're coming into a walking dog. Quite a fast pace, maybe rolling and crunching over our toes. Now then, some of us like to come down for a rest, so drop down onto your knees and send your hips back towards your heels. This is what I call swan pose, where you're lowering your head down. That's good. And then come back up. And this time when you move into dog, you might want to do the naughty dog. So what's the naughty dog, Ross? Yeah, it's a male dog. He's lifting his leg. So you're lifting one leg. Maybe you're keeping the knee bent at this early stage in the class. And you can also do, if we come down with our knees, you can also do the naughty cat, which is lifting your foot up. Although quite honestly, I don't think cats behave like this, do they? They're not as naughty as dogs. They're a bit more subtle, aren't they? Now we're going to come onto our downward dog again, and we're going to lift our opposite leg. Only if you wish. You don't have to do any of this tonight. Lovely. Let's gently lower the feet down and resting down. So we're going to come up to standing, and Ross, we'll need to stand quite far back so people can see us. You're going to take your feet quite wide. Now, one of the reasons that we do yoga is to help us calm down. But we need to sometimes just get a little bit of that frustration and anger out first, don't we? So we're going to, there's nothing better than chopping wood to get our anger out. So you're going to imagine that you've got a nice big axe, And you've got a cloggy in front of you. You're going to split it in two, a log. You're going to split into two cloggies. So deepen into your knees, and then nice high lift. And as you come down, I want you to shout, ha! And bend into the knees. Good. Can we go again? 1, 2, 3. Ha! And again. Bending at the knees. 1, 2, 3. Ha! Let's do one more. You count down.
3, 2, 1.
Ha! Oh, I feel better already. Bring your feet back in. Send your knees down to the earth. And let's place your hands onto your chest. Close your eyes. What can you feel, Rose?
The heart's pumping.
The heart's pumping. Well, that's always a good sign, isn't it? It's pumping a bit faster, isn't it?
Yeah.
Can you feel your heart pumping? This is your body's automatic response to you needing more energy for all those ha's. And we can close our eyes and we can tune into the heart pumping with some deeper awareness, can't we? Lovely. And welcome back to all my regulars, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. These classes only work with your support. Otherwise I'd be sitting, speaking to a void, and it only works because of the relationship between us. And I know our relationship is a little distant just now, but I'm still your teacher, you're still my students, and we've been able to carry on through this medium. It's wonderful. So I'd like you to stretch out your legs now. And give the feet and the ankles just a bit of a wiggle. Lift the arms up into this nice box shape and take a little rotation to your right. And a little rotation to your left. And back to centre. Okay, so we're going to come into a little bit Skookasana legs. So I'm going to invite you to fold your right heel towards your left hip. And normally we would be using blocks, but you know, if you feel like putting a cushion underneath the sitting bones, that's absolutely fine. But for those of you who are new to this online world, we tend not to bother with props because it's too much hassle to organise. So a cushion under your hips is fine. So the right heel's folded back, and then you're going to tuck your left heel in with the knee nicely bent up towards the chest. And if it feels appropriate for you, you can go up and over. And planting this foot down. Take your fingertips to either side, so you've got this kind of pyramid shape or a little kind of internal loop going on. It's almost like you're earthed to the ground. We're going to travel to your right by turning out the left palm, and up and over you go. And you can go on a little journey if you want. You can heel toe that hand to all the way to the end of your mat. Have a little look under your armpit. A little gaze skyward. Keep that nice connection that you have with the ground, through the feet, through the right hip. And breathe and rolling that left shoulder back if you can. Taking a deep breath as you come to the other, all the way back up. And as we move to the other side, you'll notice that there's a wee restriction here because of the way we are folding. So as we move to our left, we feel this a little more challenging and we can't go quite as far. Keep pressing down with that left foot. Good, well done. So we're going to take both hands over to the right now. So they're planting down onto the right side of the body. And it's like your hands are pointing down towards the end of your mat. And you're going to stretch them forward, and then we're going to sort of untie the legs, as it were, and come into plank pose, just momentarily. We're not going to hold our plank for too long. So I'd like you to lift your, what would it be? It would be lifting your right hip off the ground, straightening the legs, sending the shoulders over at the wrists. Here you are in plank. And you're going to take your right foot forward, taking it nicely positioned between the hands, dropping into the back knee, flattening the back foot. And this time, as we come into a lunge, you've got both hands forward, palms together, and then you're going to slide your right hand back, and you're going to slide your left hand back towards the left leg and elevate the right arm. So you're kind of like finding the back of the thigh a little bit. And you're finding just a little bit of depth in the hips as well. Quite a deep lunge. If this pinches the lower back, I'd like you to straighten up. And then folding back over the right leg and seeing if you can bring the left knee in and folding over back to where we started. I'm not sure if that will have worked. Who knows? I wish I could see you. So, don't worry, because we're going to untie all of this now. Up and over you go, and straighten out the legs. And hopefully you should feel a nice little bit of warmth in those hips. Let's take our left heel and place it next to our right hip this time. Drawing in the knee onto the right side, and you have this quite nice grounded feeling. If you want to keep the foot on the inside of the knee, you know that that's a modification that's kinder to your hips. Otherwise, we're going to take our foot up and over the thigh. And it might feel that the weight is tipping over, but that's okay. We can just settle ourselves in and maybe find a little bit of ground for that right hip. Fingertips connected, nicely earthed to the ground. Chest lifting, neck nice and long, and afford yourself a little smile as we practice yoga together in this, what now feels quite a familiar way. Let's take a little sliding journey to your left. So taking your left hand, placing it onto the ground, sliding it all the way out, elevating your right arm, having a little look up. Find warmth in the breath at the back of the throat. See if you can hear the breath resonating around the vocal cords. Take a nice deep breath in. When you next can, let it flood in. And as you exhale, let's use that exhale as a prompt to come back to neutral. And up and over you go to the other side, acknowledging and accepting that we can't go quite as far. Okay folks, this time we're lifting the arms and we're landing them down onto the left hand side. So we've got this little trick to do where we're rolling forward and we're lifting, what would it be, your left hip off the ground. We're straightening out the legs so we move back into plank pose, something that we're a little more familiar with. This time you're going to take your left foot forward, bend into the knees, create a little bit of momentum, take the left foot forward, drop the back knee, and allowing yourself to come upright. And taking the arms out in front of you, palms together, So this time it's the right arm going back and the left arm is ascending. So you're placing your right hand just onto the back of the thigh maybe, or even onto the hip is fine. Finding that powerful breath again. We practiced it this morning. It's the Ujjayi, the ocean breath, the one that we can feel, the breath that we can hear. Lovely. As you send that hand back to earth. Okay, how did we get here? Well, let's see if we can roll the hips back a little so we come into a shallower lunge, as it were. And you're going to move your, right knee forward. Or is it left knee? Oh, it's your left knee, it's your left knee. Your left knee forward, sink down onto your left bum cheek. And I'll be amazed if you're all, but I shouldn't underestimate you. You're probably all beautifully synchronised all over Aberdeenshire. And bearing in mind that we've got people practising somewhere else in a different continent even. We've got Cameron and we've got Corey who probably be having their lunch right now. Fingertips onto the earth. Wonderful, really well done. Good stuff. I'm looking down at my lesson plan. I need to speed up because we've still got quite a lot to do. Let's lift the palms up and untie the legs. Okay, now you're going to get a chance to lie down for just a moment. Just as we did before, the forehead is heading into the mat and the palms are placing down with the elbows squeezing together. And if you wish, you can bend into your right knee. And if you wish, you can take your left hand forward. And maybe you can reach back with your right hand. Maybe you can hold on to the right foot. If you've got any knee injuries, any kind knees that we need to extend our kind thoughts towards, maybe this isn't appropriate, but otherwise, we're moving the heel gently towards the bottom. We're sort of poking the elbow up into the air a little. And the hips are nice and square. And there's a lovely stretch and lengthen along the left side of the body. So we're going to slowly let go and we're going to go in the opposite direction. So slide your right hand, try not to knock over anything flammable. Right hand slides forward, you're extending your left arm back, catching hold of the foot. If the knee and the hip is comfortable, you can bring the heel towards the bottom. Gently allowing that foot to float away. And then I want you to take your hands in line with the chest, tuck the toes under. We're going to see if we can move up into plank pose. Now that's maybe a little bit of a big ask, but otherwise we move into plank pose. And then we're going to drop the knees and gently take, rather than the hips back this time, leave the hips high and take the fingers forward so that you're now lowering the chest down towards the earth, lowering the nose and the forehead. And here you are in puppy pose. So think about the chest opening now. And then starting to slowly walk the hands back towards the thighs. Well done. Okay, tuck the toes under, roll back into a squat. Now if a squat isn't for you this evening, please don't worry about that. You can come into kneeling instead. But otherwise, we're high on our toes and the heels are off the ground. And you can come with me. We can allow our right arm to drift up. Oh, look at those black clouds out there as we come all the way back and up. So moving from side to side and allowing the hips to rock from side to side to accommodate this swooping movement. Wonderful stuff, everyone. And then allowing that to gently draw to a pause. So, before we did our family yoga session last week, the week before, I had several comments from you saying that you'd gotten into the king pigeon pose, which I was chuffed to pieces about. Do let me know how you get on. Send me a message, send me a photograph, anything, you know. I know taking photographs in yoga maybe kills the moment a little bit, but let me know how you get on. So we're going to go into pigeon now, but I'm aware that there's a few of us here this evening who have returned to yoga from a little bit of a spell away. So don't worry, we've got a gentle version for you. Now for this one, I'm thinking off the top of my head here, you might want to have a cushion. I'm sure you've got a cushion or a pillow lying around somewhere. Don't worry, it's not mandatory, but you might want to rely on it, or roll up your blanket if you've got your blanket. Okay folks, let's come into downward dog. We've done a few of these this evening. Lifting into the hips, spongy knees, elevating the tailbone. Now, when you're in your downward dog, engage your pelvic floor, lift your pelvic floor and draw the tummy muscles in. And this is what we call in yoga a bandha. And it's to strengthen the integrity of the pose from within. And this is relevant to our theme because we're more than just our physical appearance. It's what we're doing internally that's really important. Yes, it's still physical, but it adds a whole new dimension to what we're doing, coupled with a meaningful breath. This is using our energy very wisely. And that's what we look to do in yoga. Now, you're going to flip the right toes over and you're going to draw the right knee in between the wrists and lower back with the back knee flattening out the foot. Now the cushion, which is miles away now, could, if you wish, go under your right buttock, okay? Now if it's anything like this cushion, it's kind of, my weight's just puffing all the air out of it and it's slightly rendered useless. But there it is, it's under my hip, just to stop me from tipping over. And this is where I would like our beginners to pause and reflect. And if this is too strong a pose for you, please come into the cat pose instead. In fact, you can do a moving cat pose. You can work nicely on warming your hips by raising the knee. So where are we? I dare say most of us are in pigeon. Now watch the back knee and watch the back hamstring, because if you're coming with me into the king pigeon, we're looking to fold this knee, fold the heel towards the bottom, just as you did when you were lying. So the knee has to be happy with all of this. So we take just maybe a little moment or two to glance round so we can see what on earth is going on. We can catch hold of the ankle. If you're wearing trousers, feel free. I hope you're wearing trousers. What I meant is if you're wearing shorts, this won't matter. If you're wearing trousers, then catch hold of the flary bit at the end. Goodness me. Here we are, pressing a little bit of energy down into the palm of the hand and lifting through the chest. And here you are back in your king pigeon. Now I hope some of you do the variation. That's the regular long-tailed pigeon. Wonderful. Well done. Okay, now I have practiced this routine already this week with Colony Park girls, So I know their coaches are watching this evening, and you'll say, oh, we're going to get shortchanged because we're going to go over this again. For foundation course students, this is the pose that Sandra taught on Saturday, and for current foundation course students. We're going to slide our right bum cheek down, and you're going to move that heel in a little towards the groin. Now, this back leg, what does it want to do? Well, you're going to almost rotate the thigh and the knee forward. And you've got your fingertips placed at either side of the knee. So there might be just a little bit of a pinch into the lower back. And this is known as the mermaid pose. And Sandra teaches it much better than I do. I'm such a novice at this. But she teaches it beautifully. You can either have a nice long tail in your mermaid, or you can have a slightly shorter tail by folding in the thigh towards the foot. So yeah, nothing much to see here yet. It all feels quite kind of, you know, casual. Very, very beautiful pose, very graceful pose. But we can take this to the next level. I would be concerned if you had any injuries on your right knee. If so, you can carry on doing your very serene mermaid. But otherwise, you might want to lift the lower leg so that you're catching hold of the inside of the right ankle. So it all starts to feel a little odd because you're then going to rotate the thigh and the knee a little closer to the floor. And this is you in kind of like a modified mermaid. And yeah, it's a bit pinchy in the waist, it's a bit pinchy in the lower back, but we can take this to the next level. Now I know you're a little bit away from me, but maybe, just maybe, you can move your foot down into the little crease in your elbow, and you can wave to me this evening from here. And lift the heart, and lift the crown of the head, and this is you in beautiful mermaid's pose. Don't worry, this is the advanced version. You can have the foot down or holding onto the foot instead. So we're going to gently let go of that, and we're going to turn back round towards the left leg. No, it's the right leg, isn't it? Oh, I've got my right and left muddled up. Yes, you will have spotted that ages ago. Tuck the back toe under, whichever one it is, and allow that right leg to drift up, sending both feet down to the ground. Come with me onto the other side. As you flip over with the left toes and slide the left knee forward. And flipping back with your right toe, and here you are in pigeon. Maybe you want to deploy this cushion once again, and you're very at liberty to stay here, enjoying the lovely opening across the collarbones and a lift in the heart. But if you want to come with me, and the back knee feels okay, you're folding the heel towards the bottom, and then look round and see what's going on and catch hold of the foot. And here you are in the King Pigeon pose that you've all been doing so well in these classes. Remember, if this is far too strong and it's pinching your lower back, it's not for you this evening. There will be another occasion. Keep lifting the chest and smiling across the collarbones. Well done. Letting go of that foot. Now if I do what I did before, I'm going to have my back to you. So I'm going to sort myself out. But you're, in fact, if you want to carry on facing me, let's come into a kneeling position and then slide your bottom down onto the right hand side. And here we are by taking the right knee out and maybe just even placing the right foot onto the left thigh. Taking your left arm over, stretching out your leg if you wish, otherwise tucking that knee in, and here you are in the mermaid pose. You can either have your hands here or you can have them here, and we're elevating the chest. Beautiful mermaid. And again, this is a little tricky for our knees. Not everyone will be happy with this, so ask yourself if this is a little journey you want to travel with me on. As you look down and lift the lower leg and catch hold of the inside ankle. And we're rotating this leg, the knee and the thigh, down towards the ground. And we're moving the chest up, so it's quite pinchy in the lower back. And again, if you want to come with me, you can think about sliding the top of the foot along the lower arm so that the top of the foot and the toes rest into that little crease in your elbow. And again, you can give me a nice wave. Wonderful. These are fun poses. And as you straighten out, send both hands to the folded side and then swing back into downward dog. So you've possibly already discovered, if you're quite new to this, that yoga is ridiculously simple. And do you know movement is the most normal part of our nature as humans? It's just modern society that restricts our movement. We are treading paths that are habitually a little bit more stationary, for some of us at least. And when we come onto the yoga mat, we discover the joy of movement and the effects. Well, you'll be the judge of the effects. The effects are often very difficult to articulate in words, and that's okay, because as long as you feel a sense of change, then you'll keep coming back to the mat. That's what it's all about, really. So let's start by taking a deep breath in and drifting our arms above our head. You can even look up towards the thumbs. Rotating to your right hand side, back up to the centre, and rotating to your left. And again back to the centre, and we're going to allow both arms to drift down to the side of the body. We're going to go up and over in a side stretch, and back to the centre. Deep breath in as you go to the other side. And back to the centre. Rest your hands on the thighs again. Very subtle this time. Inhaling, lifting the heart space. Exhaling and drawing in the tummy. And then inhaling and exhaling as you come into cat pose. Now we're working on the diagonal, so you can start by stretching your right arm forward, your left leg back, but do know that it's okay to keep the toe on the ground. Lovely long inhale, exhale and draw it all together. Inhale, extend, exhale, squeeze the tummy. Long inhale, squeeze the tummy. Good, okay, mini lecture, just a brief one. Use your ocean breath to connect easier and make the breath longer and stronger. Now, imagine you're fogging up a mirror. Close your mouth. That's your usual breath. It's a bit like the sound of breaking waves. And that will allow your breath to become a lot longer as well. It's really interesting. Subtle effects have the most powerful impacts. Okay, let's go on the diagonal. Left arm, right leg, inhale, remember your ocean breath. Exhale, drawing it all together. Inhaling, extending and lengthening. And then drawing it all together. Inhaling. Exhaling, bring it all in. That's excellent. Now then, we're going to start on our left side simply so that you can see me, or I can see you, or I can see myself. It's all very strange. As you inhale, now notice there's quite a restriction in the shoulders, but don't worry, we'll open things up in a minute. We're going to slide all the way back down, landing on the ground, allowing your cheek and your shoulder to roll down. Inhale, come all the way back up. Drift the arm up and landing back into cat. Drifting to the other side. Inhaling, allowing your opposite arm to drift up. The back of the hand lands and slides all the way through. Rest the cheek down, lift the tailbone. Inhale and come all the way up. Exhale, bringing the palms to the mat. You're doing really well. You've got this far. You've walked away from your desk and you're now moving. So let's try opening the shoulder and the hip at the same time. This gives your body more freedom and it also gives the breath more room to move into the side of the ribs. Push back with your left toe. Take your right hand wide if you need to, and then up and expand. Notice how there's more freedom for the shoulder now, and the hip is facilitating that lovely side movement. Back down you go, and then move to the other side. So you anchor your right toe, up and extend. Back, down to earth, you land. Bring the knees in together. Take a deep inhale as you come up, and a long exhale as you settle back down. So that's good. We've done the most simplest thing in the world, which is move with our breath. Hi there, and welcome to this 5-minute meditation. It's deliberately 5 minutes because that's all you've got. But that's good because we're going to use a tried and tested method to help you slow down the thoughts in your mind. And I'd like you to take a look at this blue sky behind me, this Scottish blue sky. This is relevant because this is going to feature in the following meditation. So I'd like you to come to a comfortable seated position, cross-legged position. It's early in the morning, but there's still people going around. So we ignore the background noise either here or at home, where we are, where you are. And you allow yourself to come into a quiet seated pose or lying. Make any little adjustments that you need to, and begin to notice your breath. Notice how good it feels to breathe. And allow a little note of thanks to your body for breathing so beautifully on your behalf. And if you've got your eyes closed, I want you to notice the spectrum of colours behind your eyelids. And with your permission, I'm going to take you on a short visual journey. I'd like you to visualise a blue sky, a bit like the one behind me today in Scotland. It's very rare. But the blue sky behind your eyelids can be there any time. I'd like you to visualise it now. This blue sky is expansive and wide, just like your brow, just like your smile, just like your collarbones. It's broad and it's smiling. And notice that the thoughts keep taking you away from this beautiful blue sky. That's okay. That's your creative mind at play. So let's play with our thoughts against this blue sky. The next thought that arises, no matter how difficult it is to define or categorize, allow that thought to drift across your mind's eye from right to left. And as it moves on, allow the next thought to bubble up and let it drift from right to left. And the next time a thought arises, I'd like you to wrap it in a white cloud and allow that cloud, just as clouds do, to drift across the blue sky in your mind's eye from right to left. And capture that next thought in a white cloud. And again, allow the breeze to drift it away. Keep practicing this, drawing these little imaginary clouds around your thoughts, and notice the beauty of the blue sky in between each thought. Beautiful, clear and wide. And you can do this for another few moments, sticking with it for just another few thoughts that bubble up, another few breaths. I'd like you to allow that visualization to slowly drift away. And notice the ground that you're sitting on. And feel the breeze, or perhaps the air around your skin. Open your eyes and take a deep breath and exhale, knowing that those 5 minutes have been well spent, well done, and you can go off and enjoy your day with clarity in the mind and a clear blue sky. Thank you. Hi, well, I hope you all enjoyed that. Whether you're lying or sitting, I'd like you to have a nice stretch. Lift the arms above the head, move into the shoulders, maybe draw your knees up towards your chest, give yourself a nice hug. And if you're lying, you can roll gently up to sitting, keeping your eyes softly gazed or closed, and then allow your arms to drift up on a deep inhalation. Lovely long exhale, palms to the chest. Namaste. That's yoga speak in Sanskrit for thank you. And a big thank you to you for taking part in today's montage class. I'll see you again next week for part 2. Take care. Bye-bye.